Hello friends, acquaintances, and enemies of all ages, my name is Combat Bird, and today we're going to take a look at the Humble Monthly Bundle for June 2019. And this month, we got a pretty pleasant surprise. Call of Duty Black Ops 4. One of the most well-known AAA franchises, Call of Duty hits the mark for this time by making some major changes to what we've come to expect. Firstly, there is no campaign mode, a decision that many fans questioned, but personally I've never taken the time to finish the campaign of a Call of Duty game since I was usually so focused on the multiplayer anyways, and that's exactly where their focus went. You do have your other traditional game modes that you've come to know and love over the years, with both new maps and returning classics from the previous Black Ops games. The gameplay itself has changed a bit though. Your health no longer naturally regenerates, as each player has a health pack they can use at any time as long as they're not in combat. It does have a short cooldown of course, but will come back to be used over and over again. However, the largest change to the game this time is the Specialist system, where Black Ops 4 has decided to go the route of many of its competitors by having multiple classes to choose from, each having a variety of different abilities. Now on top of the gameplay changes, we also got a brand new game mode. Blackout, Treyarch's attempt at a Battle Royale mode, takes something that's becoming so overdone and puts a Black Ops stamp of approval on it. This was a pretty big risk, because if they had made Blackout boring, unbalanced, or generic, it's quite possible that this Call of Duty would have been written off as a cash grab. Luckily for us players, they knocked it out of the park. As someone who hasn't really enjoyed Battle Royales from the beginning, I was still able to find myself having a good time with it. And of course, the last thing I had to mention for Black Ops 4 is the Zombies mode, something that I believe they're improving upon every single iteration. You've still got interesting characters, large maps that are fun to learn as you play, and even a new game mode called Zombie Rush, which gives the game almost more of an arcade feel, with a large emphasis on point multipliers and making it to the next location quickly as possible. 911 Operator. Okay, this concept was something I never would have expected to become a video game. You literally do play as a 911 operator, and it's your responsibility to answer calls and shift around your units to be best prepared for the various emergencies you'll get throughout the game. Visually, the game is pretty basic. It gets the job done and you'll know exactly what's going on at any given point, but the audio on the other hand is incredibly realistic. It can almost feel bone-chilling, immersing you into the role and giving you a desire to actually help these people. You'll also learn a lot of real-world emergency advice as well. In a relatively short optional read, you'll learn what to do in a variety of real-life emergencies, anything from symptoms of a stroke to how to perform CPR, which all once again adds to how immersive and real the game feels. Now as a game itself, it's a basic micromanagement sim, where you have to keep track of your unit's locations, their current objectives, and the incoming phone calls. It's decently fun and can get incredibly difficult. You'll buy upgrades and equipment and move on to larger and more populated cities. You can even plug in your own city and use it as the actual playmap. All of this comes together to make a game which might not be for everyone, but perfect for some. Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. Remastered. Anyone who knows my channel can tell you that I absolutely love any game with a good physics engine. So step back almost 10 years ago and you have 13-year-old me sitting at home with his Xbox 360 playing what would end up being one of the best destruction physics games to ever exist. And now here I am again, revisiting this wonderful game, this time with a whole new coat of paint. You play as Alec Mason, a simple man who works as a mining engineer. You come to Mars hoping to live a basic life, maybe start a family, run a farm, that kind of cliche thing. But unfortunately for you, your brother is here and happens to be a part of Red Faction, a resistance group fighting for the freedoms of the people against the evil government. Okay, maybe the story is a tiny bit overdone, but who doesn't love a good old evil government versus the people story? Anyways, boring story or not, that's not why we're here. Remember what I said earlier, this game is all about the destruction physics. Destroying buildings is what you'll be doing in the campaign, it's what you'll be doing in the multiplayer, and it's what you'll be wanting to do anyways. Now keep in mind, these physics are by no means perfect and far from realistic, but they're a ton of fun to mess around with, and that's what makes this game worth playing alone. The gameplay otherwise is alright, nothing too special, but it does the basics well and that's what matters. Also, that multiplayer I mentioned is ridiculous and fun with a variety of game modes and items. Duskers. One man doing his best to save the world by using a variety of drones in deep space. With his superior intellect, he just might be able to see his family once again. I actually just made all of that up. This game doesn't really have a story. You just kind of pilot drones using a command console. You gather scrap, you upgrade your drones, you fly between ships hoping to find enough resources to survive even longer. Oh my god, an enemy. Who knows what kind of danger awaits us in this room? However, we'll be able to handle such a threat. I'll open the door. Oh, you don't actually get to see what happened? You just kind of die. Yeah, that about sums up this game. Paratopic. With the visuals of an old PlayStation game and an atmosphere capable of causing nightmares, Paratopic is a perfect example that your game doesn't have to rely on jump scares or incredible graphics to be a terrifying adventure. You aren't told much about the world of Paratopic, and I don't want to tell you too much myself. The game is only about an hour long and it's meant to be played through in a single sitting. That's all you need to know. Go on, go play it. Paratopic deserves at least one playthrough, so what are you waiting for? Pool Panic. Adult Swim has always made interesting games, and this time they graced us with Pool Panic, a game where you play pool. It's that simple, just knock the other balls into the pockets, and that's it. Just kidding. The charm of Pool Panic comes from the levels getting more and more interesting as you progress throughout the game. With new types of balls to hit, as well as some different environmental hazards, you'll have to think outside of the box to complete some of these puzzles. By completing levels with a certain number of shots or in a certain amount of time, you'll earn different trophies for each level. This is pretty standard for a puzzle game, and I do enjoy it. However, the one complaint I think I have is that there's actually no restriction at all. You can take as many shots as you need, you can take as much time as you need, and you can't die in any way. This makes any risk completely null and void if you aren't worried about collecting the trophies. I'm all for going out of my way to collect the extras, but I wish there was some sort of limit set on the player, because it's very easy to say, meh, I don't really want to try on this level, with no repercussions at all. Other than that, it's a fun little time waster, and I was constantly surprised by how many unique mechanics they were able to come up with. Macdos 95. Strange. Very strange. That's the best way I can describe Macdos 95. A game where you play in a virtual operating system that behaves in ways you'd never expect. When it comes down to it, it's a puzzle game. You need to complete a bunch of smaller puzzles to progress, and the amount of variety is welcomed. You'll see a couple of oddly inspired games, logic puzzles, and much, much more. It's almost more of a toy box than anything. Just experimenting itself is a ton of fun, but for that very same reason, if you can't figure something out or get stuck, there isn't a whole lot to keep you wanting to play. Certainly not for everyone, but I do recommend at least giving it a shot. Well, this month's bundle is interesting, but a lot of the games fall just short of expectations, honestly. Call of Duty is obviously a big one here, and while Red Faction is fun, it isn't quite enough to justify the purchase. If you have this month's bundle, great, please do enjoy it, but this is not an absolute purchase for me, and I would recommend it if you know there are some games in it you want. With 1 being a bad month and 10 being a fantastic month, I give the Humble Monthly for June of 2019 5 out of 10. Hey, thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I of course want to remind you that if you are interested in purchasing this bundle, the link in the description is the best way to do it and supports me as well. Thanks again, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.